Hi, it's Lucy and welcome to Disney Channel. Hi, it's Lucy and today I'm going to be doing a reading vlog for Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. This is the second book in the Children of Blood and Bone trilogy and I'm reading it. This is going to be similar to the reading vlog that I did for Children of Blood and Bone, which if you didn't know I did that, now you know. It'll be linked down below in the cards. So the similarities are that this will also be spoilery. There will be spoilers in this video. This is your warning. So if you haven't read it yet and plan to read it without knowing what happens, then you should stop this video right now. Go check out my first video if you want to hear more of a detailed view on what happens in the first book, if you need a refresher before you go into this book or something. I was planning to start this video off with like my predictions for the book, but just like my Children of Blood and Bone vlog, I have already started it. Also, this will be a little different from the Children of Blood and Bone vlog since with this one I haven't read it before. The Children of Blood and Bone vlog was a reread, so I knew everything that happened. This one, everything that happens will be a surprise to me. I don't know what happened. I'm currently 70 pages in. I am also tabbing this one as well. Can you see that a little bit? And I'm also, I guess, annotating these because these sticky tabs are bigger than the sticky tabs I was using for Children of Blood and Bone, and I can write on them, so I've decided to just write on them if I have something to say. So I'll let you know about those as well. In the Children of Blood and Bone vlog, I had my prediction that Inan was alive, and I thought he was going to be like inside of Amari. That was completely wrong, but we'll find out soon that I was not wrong. I already read that part, so yeah. The first tab I had was about the Titan. I don't know how you say it. It has a T-I with a hat on it. I don't know what you call that. And then an A with an accent and then N. So it looks like Titan to me. I don't know what the hat I, how you pronounce that is. Titan. But basically the Titans are people who are part of the nobility who got magic after Zele brought magic back. That's why Inan had the white streak in his hair, because they're marked by white streaks, and apparently they have magic that works almost like the Magi's, except they don't need incantations and they appear to be more powerful, which is interesting. But we saw Inan with the white streak the whole time and Zele was really confused about it. So how did we learn about this? I wish there was a little more explanation about that. Like the stuff I guess that we missed from the end of the last book to the beginning of this book, I guess. I guess this is more of an update, but I just would have liked to hear more lore. It would have made sense for the Titans to be mentioned when Lacan in the first book was explaining like where the Magi came from and everything. Like I feel like the Titans would have been important unless they were just invented. Like there were no Titans before, but I think there were. I'm skipping ahead a lot right now, but basically Zele, Amari, and Zane, and Rowan and his crew have like a planned coronation for Amari, because apparently right after Zele brought magic back, as soon as the Magi got their magic back, they like stormed the palace, and it seemed to them that everyone in the palace was like dead or killed, and so Amari's mother is gone, allegedly, and we watched Inan and the king die, so Amari has a claim to the throne now, which I also kind of don't understand quite. We'll get to that. But basically, Amari's mother turns out to be alive, and she views her daughter as a traitor. She's like, you killed the king, and she also blames her for Inan's death, which I think is really weird. As far as we know, her mother isn't like super into politics. I guess we don't know a lot about her mother. I guess we're gonna learn more about her now in this book. But yeah, it didn't seem like she was super into politics, or maybe she couldn't be. That was the other second part of the confusion. It seems like queens don't have any power, at least after Zane was gone. Why wouldn't her mom have the first claim to the throne? But either way, it doesn't matter because her mom shows up, is like, you killed our family, and then she turns out to be a Titan who's super powerful and can take the Ashi out of other people, which was a lot. I wrote in my book, I am confusion, because I was just really confused by that. That's my tab. So Rowan also yells at them, and I feel really weird about how hot and cold Rowan has been in this book. And then he has that moment with Zele, and then he's like, okay, we're demanding payment after they run away from Amari's mom. And she was like, clearly I cannot pay you right now because we were just kicked out of the kingdom and we're on the run. And he gets like super mad at her. He's always constantly mad at her, but then he has that weird moment with Zele. And I'm like, when did they talk? What's going on? I was also very confused there. So that happened. And then after Rowan leaves, Zele has a huge fight with Amari and Zayn by extension. Zelly's like, Baba died for a lie. And Zelly wants to like run and like leave Orisha. She's like, we messed everything up. We brought magic back and it just tore our kingdom apart even more, because now even nobles have magic and they still want to get rid of the Magi. So it wasn't about magic, which I think is really interesting. And also, it seems like it's kind of true. And then they're trying to talk her down. So she ends up leaving. And in the middle of that, Amari is obviously upset. And then she says, Orisha waits for no one, not even the girl I love. And I just want to say, I won't say it again, probably, but that was so gay. I know I said it in the first book, but come on, a little bit. I wasn't shipping Amari and Zelle, and I still don't, I think, but come on. Like, I know platonic friendship is a thing, but a little gay. And then the last sticky note I've done so far is just on Inan's chapter, where he is indeed alive. I haven't found out how he survived yet, but I'm really interested in that. How did they find him? How did he survive literally being stabbed through the stomach? I guess maybe a healer or something, but still, like, he was down for a long time, like with that sword in his stomach. So it feels like he should not have lived through that. But I guess we'll find out soon. I'm back. I'm just gonna pick up where I left off, I think. I'm now on page like 128 and I'm about to do some hardcore reading. Not hardcore, but you know, gonna start reading a lot. I'm gonna stop talking about that now. So anyway, where I left off, like I said, Inan is alive, like I predicted, not how I predicted, but he's alive. And so now he's working with his mom and the rest of the military to fight against the Ayika. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so forgive me. And so we learn about that. And then at the end of chapter 18, we find out that Mama Agba is still alive. Yay! I was actually really sad when she didn't come with Baba at the end of Children of Blood and Bone. In my other vlog, I was like, I hope she's still somehow alive. And she is. And she's leading the rebellion, which is fun. It says tears brim in her mahogany eyes as she opens her arms, and my tears also brimmed in my mahogany eyes. Are my eyes mahogany? They're dark brown. Whatever. Mama Agba is like Zelly's like only like real parental figure now, which is why at the end of Children of Blood and Bone, I hoped she was still alive. And I'm so happy. So they go into like the mountain, I think. There's like, they have like a hidden place, the rebellion known as the Ayika. So they go in and Zelle meets all the like elders, which was so weird to me because they're all like kids. Like all of them sound like they're like 18 or 19. Like Mama Agba is the only one who's like elder aged and everyone else is like 18, which makes sense because they killed all the Magi's 11 years ago. So everyone who would have been old enough to be an elder is dead. But yeah, it's just like really jarring that they're like elders, even though they're not that old. So Zelle and Amari and Zayn are getting to know the new like encampment and everything. And then we go back to Inan and he starts seeing people's, like hearing people's grievances as the new king and everything, because that's what you're supposed to do when they're at war. I don't really know why they're doing this right now since they're at war. So people come and ask for food, and then Inan is like, okay, we'll just give everybody rations, and his like generals and advisors are like, we don't have enough food for that. He's like, well, fine, the food is fine. And then someone from the rebellion is there, and I guess she gets caught stealing. Inan makes like a decree and is like, go back to your people and tell them that anyone who defects from the rebellion and volunteers for like their reconstruction efforts will get double the food. And his advisors are really mad about that because they only see the Magi as bad people, and they're like, this is gonna blow up in your face. And spoiler alert, it does. I don't know how I feel about that because I like what he was saying when he did that. He was like, well, we killed all of their people, and for so long, we've just been treating them like shit. So of course, the first thing that they do when they get some kind of power back is attack us, because they have been treated like shit for the past decade, over a decade, really, because they were still at war before that Magi died. But like specifically in the past decade, he's like, they didn't really have another choice. But now that I said this, that I do have another choice, it does come as too little too late. And then in the next chapter, Zelle's like doesn't trust him anymore for obvious reasons. And the person who he told that to comes back and tells them what he said. And they decide to burn down the food rations because Zelle is like, he's lying. And Amari's mad about that because she's like, you're going against us. Like, you don't know his heart. And Amari makes a good point. She says something like, to Zelle, he's just the asshole who broke her heart. She doesn't say it like that, but that's basically what she meant. But to me, he's my brother. So that's something they'll have to deal with, I think. Also, the other rebels treat Amari like garbage because she's a Titan, and they don't trust Titans because they're all nobles who have just gotten magic. I don't have really a prediction really for the end. I hope Amari doesn't betray them, but by the end of this chapter, I think chapter 22, Zele teaches Amari an incantation, and basically Zele is like, the reason it's hard to control your magic is because Titans use like blood magic by design, so they have a lot of power but no control. And so if she teaches her how to use an incantation, and then they have a lot of power and a lot of control. And so, like, sort of a prediction, not really a prediction. We'll see if I'm right. But probably by the end of the book, Amari feels bad for Inan, or not bad, but something happens where she feels like she has to go to Inan's side. And then she ends up teaching all the other Titans incantation. So then they have a lot of power and control. And that seems like a bad recipe. So we'll see what happens. Or maybe less nefariously, but like someone witnesses Amari using incantations and figures out how to do it. Or they kidnap a rebel and is like, you have to teach us how to do incantations. Although the rebels really seem like they're willing to die for the cause, so I don't know how successful that would be. So let's go with my first theory. And also I realized I forgot to mention that Rowan came back in like the next chapter I read from the last time I opened up this vlog. And he's the one who took them to Mama Agba. Then he left. And I'm starting to not like Rowan anymore. I feel like he's not going to appear again for a little bit. He says he'll be back, so I assume he'll be back because that's what happened the last time he showed up. But he's being too wishy-washy. I don't understand his relationship with Zele at all. I really feel like there's going to be a love triangle thing, and I don't like it. I do not enjoy that. I don't know. They just seem to have this closeness that doesn't seem to exist. Like, I never witnessed them getting that close, I feel like not in Children of Blood and Bone. They had like a flirty banter, but nothing like that deep. And it seems like a lot deeper in this book. But it also doesn't seem that deep because he's constantly willing to just leave them and go do whatever he's doing. Not a big fan of Rowan. I don't want him to come back. I feel like he was supposed to be in here sort of like the Nikolai from the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Like a fun, not comic relief, but like snarky, flirty guy. But I don't like him. And then we see Inan's plan blow up in his face. He welcomes the rebels to come and grab their rations and thank them for like joining the reconstruction, and then they blow up the food. And they kill all of those rebels though. So it did blow up in his face. His council's probably really mad at him, and now everyone's mad at everyone again. That would be like the shortest book ever if they like were like, oh, okay, let's just give up now. And Inan has our best interest at heart. Let's go. And then they actually did just take the rations and like join the reconstruction efforts. That'd be brazy. But that didn't happen. And currently where I'm at in the book, Zele is becoming the elder of the Reaper clan. And that's really interesting. I really liked the mythology in the last book. Like I liked hearing all the stories and like the myths and the creation myths of how they became. And I would have really wanted something about the Titans because they're like a new form of being. And I'm disappointed that we didn't get more of that. I don't know what I was expecting from this book, but I don't think I was expecting this like rebellion versus the king story again, which I don't know. It felt a little bit more fresh in the beginning because it was just the three of them basically, like Amari, Zane, and Zele. But this one now they have like a whole crew of people, and it just feels like more generic this way. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Also, under my Children of Bone vlog, someone mentioned that they really wanted Zane to have their own perspective, and I'm agreeing with them more and more because I feel like we barely get any of him so far. I'm on page 120, which is a quarter of the way in the book, and I forgot he was even there. All right, so I'm back. Amari just challenged Ramaya, who is the current connector elder, to become the new connector elder. This is gonna be good, and I just wanted to update the vlog to say that I don't know what's gonna happen now. Like, I read that and I was like, I should film this right now. I don't even know how this works. If someone challenges, is it a fight to the death? Do they have like a mark of losing? Does someone have to submit? Is it like Black Panther? Oh, it's probably gonna be like Black Panther. So yeah, probably they have to submit. And yeah, I'll update you guys when we find out how that ends. Hello, I'm back. Yeah, I filmed 2 videos today, and only after I took off my makeup did I remember to update this vlog. So we're natural, bare-faced again. Anyway, I'm on page 240 of Children of Virtue and Vengeance. So I read a lot last night, actually. Inan wants to go and try and find where the Iki are in Lagos, so he tries to escape. And then Ajore, who I don't think I've talked about, but Ajore is, I guess, an old friend. He's the general of the army, I think, or admiral or something, I forget, but he's like pretty high up, I guess. And then when Inan was in the army, because like all princes, they have to join the army for some point in time, I don't know, but yeah, they're friends but also not friends because Ajore hates magic, so he like doesn't like that Inan has it, but he's the king, so I don't know. But he like regularly expresses disgust whenever magic is talked about. But Jorah catches him trying to leave, and he's like, I'll come with you. So they go and they find the Magi encampment. I guess there was a separate encampment from where they are, like in, I think they're in a mountain, like the base. I guess there was a separate encampment closer to Lagos. So they find it, and the Magi start to like attack them or something, but somehow they ring the alarm. This felt really unclear to me, this whole scene, but somehow the alarm gets rung, and then people from like the army come and get them, and they end up capturing all the Magi there. There were, I think, 9, and then they basically torture the people that they capture. They made an injectable form of the Magicite, so yeah, they basically torture them and kill them. There was one thing that doesn't have to do with that, but when Nahanda comes and sees them and like helps rescue them, like the love that she expresses to him for him doesn't make sense to me at all. Like I feel like I just don't understand it. From everything described, like she was barely in the first book. I guess I kind of understand her tense relationship with her mom, but not hands off, but like it didn't seem like she had much power or like really did a lot with her children. And like so now that she like seems to like really have a lot of feelings toward Danan, but then she doesn't seem to care about Amari at all. Like she hates Amari. I just don't understand that. I don't understand the dichotomy of that. Like she spent more time with Amari probably because she was a girl. Amari wasn't like, as far as I can tell from her thoughts and her memories and everything, she wasn't like defiant or anything. Like she was never rude to her mother. It just seems weird to me. I think I put a clip in already, but then I decided to ignore that clip and just go back because I realized I hadn't updated you guys before that clip. But basically, Amari challenges to be the new connector elder. She ends up putting Ramaya in a coma, and everyone's mad at her. She technically becomes the new connector elder because she won, but everyone is incredibly mad at her. Ramaya was kind of the de facto like leader, like besides being an elder. She was, I think, the oldest person there, other than Mama Agba, obviously. And she's in a coma, and it was Amari who put her there, and they already don't like Amari because she is part of the royal family. So that was a lot. Later, back at the palace, Nahanda has a meeting with someone who is obviously Rowan, and she asks where Amari is. Again, we see like Nahanda's hatred for her own daughter. It's so odd to me. I know that Amari did all these bad things and they hate the Magi, but it just seems so weird that she doesn't seem to have any sympathy at all for her. And I don't really understand the Queen's motivation for any of these things. Like I said, I guess it's hard because we don't see any of her in the first book, and then all of a sudden she's like super in charge. She wants to be super powerful. I'm confused about that. And in the beginning of this book, or at the end of the first book, Amari thought her mom would just step down. My Postmates guy called me, and so that stopped the video, and then I had to eat the food that came with Postmates. So we're here now. But basically what I was saying is that when Amari was planning what would happen after they got rid of the king, she was like, oh, she's going to be the queen, because she just figured that her mom would step down. But the way her mom's character is acting in this book, why would she ever think that? So I'm really just confused about the mom's character, I guess. And I said I wasn't going to bring up anything about Amari being gay again, but on page like 170, I don't know what chapter this is, but at some point they're with Daiki and something's going on, and then it says that Now grins and kisses her girlfriend's freckled cheek, and the girlfriend is Connie. So gay people exist in this world, which is good, but I'm just saying Amari could be one of those people. Next, we're in the temple of the Malawi people so that they can find more magic scrolls, because they lost a lot of the incantations when all the Magi were killed, because they're passed down by word of mouth, and since all the Magi were killed, they lost those. They go back to the temple to get the scrolls. Stop! Frick. My cat just uses my house as a jungle gym. So they're at the temple, and then Inan and the rest of like the royalty people come and try to stop them, and they end up in the room with the scrolls. luckily, or not luckily, but they're trapped in the room, but they gather the scrolls. And then something happens where Zele starts shooting light out of her body somehow, which was baffling. I was shook when that happened. And then she could see everyone's ashi, and she could see that Amari was holding a lot of ashi, and then they realized that she is like her mom, where they can absorb other people's ashi. And they made up a word and called it center. So in theory, Amari can like absorb ashi from connectors, but they don't want to do that. And they escape the temple. It's good and everything. I don't think anyone dies in the temple. They go back to the encampment or base, and they talk to Mama Agba. She reads a script that is on Zele's skin? I don't remember that. What? And she's basically like, the centaurs are created after a great sacrifice and using the moonstone, which I don't really understand. So Zele has the power of the moonstone, I guess. Really, it's Zele's fault that Amari's magic is the way it is. But that still doesn't really explain Nahanda's abilities, because she wasn't there. So how did she get that? Is it just because she cursed the whole family, or not cursed, she gave it to the whole family? Then why doesn't Inan have it? So that doesn't really make sense. And it also says that you have to sacrifice someone, and Nahanda didn't sacrifice anyone. She wasn't there. Like, does it count by proxy? I don't even think she loved her husband, so it doesn't really make that much sense. And then the last note I had, I wrote down, like, when did Amari become so headstrong? Like, throughout this whole book, she's like super intensely focused on she's going to be the queen. She has to take care of the people. She's acting like her brother, really. She's going at it basically by any means necessary. She's like, I have to prove my strength so that they will accept me. And when they're in the temple, she's like, we're going to do this, this, and this. She just seems to have become super headstrong. And I know that the first book was about her like finding her footing because she used to be so meek. But I think this has just swung her to the other end. And it took her a whole book to become like regular confident, and now she's like almost overconfident, it feels like. And so I don't really like that. So what I said before about Amari joining her brother, I feel like it's like really coming true. Not coming true, but like I really feel like the book is headed that way, because she really wants to unite the kingdom, and she really seems like she's willing to do anything to get there. Okay, this is the real last thing. I forgot to mention this, but then I turned to the page that I'm on and I realized that I should have mentioned this. But basically, Amari figures out how to make a dreamscape with Inan, and she has this grand old idea that Inan is going to come and like beg them to surrender or something, I don't know. But that Inan is going to come and tell them about how he wants good things for both of them and blah, blah, blah. But basically, I know how this ends. Either Inan is lying right now. I haven't read it ahead, so I don't know. And he's just going to tell his generals and everyone, and the army is going to go and kill them, because she's going to tell them where they are, where they're staying, where their base is. Or he really does have good intentions, but the army's just going to follow him. Like, Ajori probably is going to see him leaving and decide not to say anything this time and just follow him and bring back up. And then they're going to know where they're staying. So either way, they're about to be slaughtered in probably the next 2 to 5 chapters. So that's good. Hi, it's dark because I'm reading by lamplight, and it's almost bedtime, and you can definitely hear Tucker purring. But I just wanted to update you guys and say I freaking called it. I knew that as soon as Inan came, he was going to be followed, and they were going to find their base. And what just happened? They see the flags of the monarchy coming towards their base right after he gives them the treaty. And he's like, I swear I came alone. How nobody saw this, I do not know. I clearly called this from a mile away. I look crazy. I'm going to go now. I'm back just because I read the next page and he was like, oh, I only told Ajori, and what did I say? I knew Ajori was going to be part of it somehow. He obviously told the queen because he hates magic. What kind of stupid is Inan? I hate this. Anyway, I'll be back. Also, here's Tucker. Look at him. As you have already seen, I was very, very upset by Inan's choice by everybody's choices, honestly, except for Zele's, which is mind-blowing. In the first book, not every choice, but a lot of choices Zele was making, I was like, you stupid, stupid girl. But now, Amari and Inan's choices, I'm like, you stupid, stupid boy and girl. Both of you. What is wrong with you? So we get a whole battle because obviously the army's forces come to attack the Iaiki, and they have like this battle, and it is like pretty like epic, well done battle scenes. First we get that Jikoye is a winder center, which means that she's like absorbing the ashe from other winders, and she was the army's secret weapon. My question is, how did she become a center? I thought you needed to sacrifice something in order to become a center. Am I misunderstanding what Mama Agba said? I'm not sure. Like, was she saying that in order for centers to be created, someone has to sacrifice something? But then why would she be talking about specifically Amari's sacrifice if you didn't need to individually sacrifice someone? So that didn't make sense to me. Oh, and then next page, we see that Zele is writing Bimpe's Taiganer, and I just wanted to know what happened to Nyla. Is she okay? I enjoyed that lion cat. That's a side note though, didn't have to do with the battle really. And then towards the end of the battle, Zele and Mazeli combine their ashi. I'm not really sure what happens. I didn't understand it at all. I wrote down that the moonstone confuses me because I don't understand how she's using it. I don't know why they plan to do that. How did they know that they could do that? So now the moonstone can just let anyone absorb the ashi, but it seemed like they were doing it together, so I didn't really understand what was going on. And then of course Mazeli dies at the end, which was sad, but unfortunately I didn't remember who they were. I kept confusing Mazeli and Mari the whole book, I think, or Maji. I forgot his name. See? I confused all the like other Reapers together in my mind, so I didn't really remember who he was. So that wasn't as sad of a death as it could have been for me, but that seems like a me problem. And then Amari feels bad that she basically caused Mazeli to die, even though he was their only casualty, which is pretty good for like a battle in a war, but still there shouldn't have been a battle because Amari was stupid and told Inan and by extension his allies where they can be found. I am so baffled how nobody thought about that. Really? And then I also didn't understand like Inan's reaction to the aftermath of the battle. Like it seemed like in the beginning he was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. But then at the end, I know that his people he was in charge of, I guess, died, but it doesn't really make sense that he's like, the Magi caused this when they were the ones who attacked them and they were defending where they lived. That didn't make sense to me. A little bit later on, Zele is obviously very sad because her second is dead and they were connected right before he died. And then Rowan comes to like cheer her up, I guess. I don't really like Rowan. Like the more I read this, the more I dislike him. Why can't Zele choose a nice guy who doesn't flip-flop and is all wishy-washy with her? Let's get a nice man who is already there. And she can have her choice of any Magi there. So why not? Instead of a man who will go on whatever side will pay him the most money, or a guy who's just an idiot, apparently. After talking to Rowan, she finds out that the king is planning for them to split their army so that they can like annihilate them that way. And basically the king is hiding in Ibadan and he expects the Aiki to go to the palace. And Zele's plan is for them to leave Orisha and start a new home elsewhere where they're not persecuted. And then she gets really close to getting people to agree with her, and Amari's like, no, we can't give up. And I just want to know, where did all this fight from Amari come from? She keeps saying, I need to fix things, I need to fix things. And I'm just not a huge fan of that. I thought that would have been a great twist if they all left this place, started a new place. Oh my god, that'd be an insane twist. And I don't think it would be giving up when, if they go into battle, they are definitely going to be slaughtered. Even if they do come out winning, they will come out winning with like 5 people. So that's where I left off, and then I went to bed because I was frustrated. I was as frustrated as Zele, and that's how I feel so far. I'm on chapter 61. I'm gonna try and finish this tonight. I don't know how I feel about this book, honestly. There are so many things that I don't understand. Hi, hello. Well, I've done it. I finished this. I finished Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I actually have a lot of the book to talk about. I have like the last quarter of the book to talk about. That's where I left off with you guys. So I'm gonna abstain from my overall opinion until the end. Last thing I left you guys on was Amari being like, actually, instead of running away, let's go attack them. And I was incredibly mad, as I would be also. They do some planning and stuff. Amari's ahead of the planning because Zele is like, I don't want to be part of this. And she's obviously upset that Amari like took her stage and everything and literally turned the crowd against what she wanted. And so they've been planning, and then they have another party. I put a sticky note here just because I was like, another party? Really? Remember what happened the last time we had a party? I do, in Children of Blood and Bone. And it didn't turn out well. My cat is complaining a lot. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just loves doing that. During the party, Zele is not at the party. She's, I think, in her bedroom or something. I don't know. She's not there. And then Rowan magically appears. He comes to take her away on his cheetah. The only animals we've seen are the lion-air and the cheetah, which is the lion and a cheetah, I assume. So is everything just an air? I wonder. He takes her away and they do this trip thing. They go on this trip where they go in the water. They see a whale, which is not a whale air. I answered my own question. They're just regular whales, I guess. That's kind of weird. I don't care about Rowan. I don't like Rowan anymore. I kind of liked him in the first book when he was like sporadic, but I don't like him at all. He just keeps showing up again. He like leaves and comes back, and like we don't know what he's doing because we don't have his perspective, but he doesn't seem trustworthy at all. He cares about Zele, but there's no proof of that. He just keeps saying it. He's like, I'm in love with her. Why? Who? What? She's pretty? That's the only reason I can understand why. And this feels even more like insta-love, that Zele even likes him back than in the first book with Zele and Inan. At least Zele and Inan had that like dream connection and everything, and at least they had some of that. And also, like, it really only took up like 4 chapters. Like, it felt like a very condensed thing that happened towards the end of the book. Like, it didn't like just pop up in and out where they have random meetings where that seemed really out of place. So this one does feel worse, and the love triangle thing or whatever doesn't make sense. I don't like it. And then we go to Inan's perspective, and Inan learns that his mom called the original attack from the Magi that killed the king's like first family, which does not make any sense whatsoever. I did not understand that at all, unless I'm forgetting things. His first family was like a different wife and he had children. So that means he had a different wife. Where was Nahanda in this at all? Wouldn't she have been like a random noble somewhere else? Like, why would she have had this plan? Why would she have been involved at all? Like, how? That seems way too coincidental. She was not part of this family at all. Not all the nobles know each other. Like, that whole thing made no sense to me. It was just so that we could, I guess, see Nahanda as more of a villain. I feel like we could have had a better backstory for her or something. It just didn't make sense how she would have orchestrated that to me. Then we skip to Amari's perspective. She has like another dreamscape thing with Inan, and Inan tells her that he concedes, and Amari doesn't believe him, and she's like, we're gonna win the war, and he's like, Mother will do anything to win, and she was like, so will I. She says, and I quote, I have to be willing to fight like Mother. I just don't understand where all this hatred, aggressiveness came from in Amari. It feels really out of character. Right before the battle or something, we learn that Ajori heard the conversation Inan had with his mother, where she says that she orchestrated the killing of the royal family, and Ajori obviously gets very angry because his family also died in that. Then he kind of goes rogue, I guess, and he's like, I'm gonna kill her, and it turns out he has magic, and he's a Titan, which did not make sense to me. How did he hide it? Where did the white streak go? From the first book, we know that you can't dye the hair because it comes out like immediately. It does not last long, so was he dyeing it every half hour? Why did he hide it? Because Titans are allowed? Nothing makes sense. Was he not a Titan? Was he a Magi this whole time? Which, once again, would not make sense. I just didn't see the point in this because in the next chapter, Nahanda kills him. And I don't know. I just didn't see the point in revealing him to have magic. So I guess before that, part of the attack of the Aiki was that I didn't really understand what the battle plan was. Zele, Rowan, and Now were sent ahead through tunnels or something, and I didn't understand where everyone else was going to come in, but somehow those 3 were together, and then the tunnels were rigged and they had bombs in them. So the other Aiki are like watching somehow. Now comes back because she was like furthest away from the bombs, and they're like, oh, what happened to Rowan and Zele? And she's like, these bombs happen. And then it turns out Amari started biological warfare. And basically, she had the Magi's known as cancers who control like disease they built a dome and they had like the gas of the cancers like released into the village so that everyone in the village, including the royal family, would die. But the royal family knew somehow that was going to happen, so they were long gone. So they really only killed the village. And like, how did Amari pull this off? And then all of the Aiki are mad at Amari because Zele was still on the island and she was like, it's set in motion. I'm like, didn't the Magi have to be there? So the cancer, I think it was like Jory, I forgot his name, Jojo, Jahi, like didn't he need to be there to do that? So they could have stopped that, right? That didn't make a whole lot of sense. Obviously everyone's mad because biological warfare is bad, especially when you're killing villagers who are innocent, like not good. And then it turns out that Zele was able to heal herself and all these things, and then she wanted to save Rowan, and they were like, you have to sever your connection to Rowan, and she was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then they all connected so that they could heal or something. I didn't really understand that, but they all connected via the Moonstone, and somehow, some way, now they can bring people back to life, which was kind of where I was at. I was like, what? What kind of Deus Ex Machina is that? We can just bring people back to life. That's like one of the big things about like most magic systems. Like you can't do that or else life is meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Like it means you can just make any mistake you want and then you just let anyone die and then you just bring them back to life. Like what? Yes, it is a lot of power or something. I also feel like the Moonstone, the way it works, keeps changing. First, the Moonstone was why the Center Titans were created, and then the Moonstone can just bring random people back together and then create life. It also didn't make sense. Like the people who were joined in, Zane was one of them. He's not even a Magi. What is it going on? And then there's some weird heart-to-heart with Rowan. I didn't care about it. I'm not going to talk about it. And then, because the Moonstone apparently needs a sacrifice, which doesn't make sense to me at all, the way the sacrifice is or isn't, Zele is like really contemplating just killing Amari because it needs to be someone she loves, and she loves Amari. But I feel like if the first person you think of to kill is someone you love, do you really love them? Is that a thing? I don't know. So, yeah. But then Mama Agba shows up and is like, no, kill me. I'm old. And I'm like, no! She was the only one I liked still. So I'm not gonna lie, during that whole like ceremony thing, I did cry on the train. Because I don't know, she was Zele's last mother figure. She was my mom in my head somehow. I don't know. That was really upsetting to me. And I was like, I still don't see how it was necessary. Because also the length of how long the Moonstone works doesn't seem to make sense. Because they do that ritual and then they sleep on it. They go to battle the next day. And it still works somehow. And I'm like, so are they connected forever? Is there a time limit? What does this mean? I don't understand it. Then, the final battle, there's a gala with the nobles and the king because they're like, oh, I forgot to mention this, sorry. Because during that whole thing where Zele got bombed and they discovered that they can just bring people back to life, they captured the seconds because they sent the seconds to the royal palace because Zele was in Ibadan. So they sent the second in command and the rest of the army to the royal palace to like take over there. And the military captured all of those people. So the royalty thinks that they won. And then the Aiki try an attack to try and get their people back. Now that they're all moonstoned up, they come really close to winning the battle. But then something happens at the end where like a cloud of white takes Zele, like makes everyone pass out, and then she's somehow captured and everyone is captured. And they're all, I guess, put on a boat and sent out into the open sea, and that's where the book ends. We have to find out in the third book, I guess. So that is the end of Children of Virtue and Vengeance. So overall, my opinion about this book, I have had a couple days to sit on it, but I haven't really been thinking about it, I guess. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars, which is a far cry from the 5 stars I gave the first book. I had opinions. I have opinions. I feel like I've been making them kind of clear as I was telling you about it, but yeah, I didn't love this. There were a lot of things I didn't understand. I'm going to be comparing this to the first book because it's the same series, same author. I don't feel bad about doing that. In the first book, I felt like so many things were clearly thought out. Even if I didn't know where something was going, I knew it was going to go somewhere. And it felt like it was planned out. This book felt like it was just written. And then nobody thought about, do these connections make sense? Do things connect? because there were a lot of things that don't make sense. The Moonstone, the Centaurs, the Titans at all. It didn't feel planned out is my issue. And then also they did that whole thing where they were like, oh, we can bring people back to life. And then they didn't even use it in the final battle. So what was the point of that? And also the fact that they made up a thing where you can bring people back to life. I didn't like that. That's not how magic should be. That I feel like anything where you can bring people back to life, unless it's Frankenstein, it shouldn't happen. That is just too easy. It makes things too easy. I just wasn't a fan of it. It didn't feel planned out at all. The characters felt like they became different people. Amari especially, I just didn't understand where she came from. I know that her arc in the first book was like how she can be a stronger person, but now she's just bloodthirsty. It didn't make sense at all. Zane became like a shell of a person, I feel like. We barely saw him at all. Zele also felt kind of like a shell of who she was. I know she has feelings left over from the first book of all she had to go through in the first book, but Zane seems to have none of the feelings, and both his parents are dead too. Inan continues to be flip-floppy, even worse now because now he has power to do things. Nahanda felt so mustache-twirling villain, it was insane. Worse than the king, honestly, because just her whole backstory didn't make sense. I did not understand how she would have orchestrated that as a random noble. And then how she coincidentally became the king's wife, second wife, did not make sense to me. There's probably some other stuff that I can think of, but I will not think of. I will write a full Goodreads review if you're interested. It'll be linked down below. But yeah, this was really disappointing. The reason that, I'm giving it 3.5 stars, which is still a good rating, but, I do care for the characters. Like I said, I cried when Mama Agba died. Once again, unnecessary. And I'm not one to scream about unnecessary deaths. I think that you should kill your characters, but I would have been fine if she died in battle, but a sacrifice? That was not, no. But yeah, I still cared for the characters and stuff, and I do want to read the third book, but I just was unhappy with this as an installment in the series and as a book. Maybe I should give it 3 stars. I don't know. We'll decide later. I think it's going to be 3.5 stars, so just because I can't give a book that I cried during 3 stars. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about anything I said during this video, please feel free to comment along. I know a couple of people did that with the Children of Blood and Bone video, which I really appreciated. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Next year, I will probably do a video for whatever the third book is called. If you have any ideas for any other series that I should do this for, let me know, or any books. It doesn't have to be a series where I go into detail about everything that happened and kind of recap it for people. Let me know in the comments down below. Did I say subscribe to my channel? Hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media. I have Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see pictures of my cat. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!